Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks. It's a little chilly, but appreciate you sticking around. So we're going to dive right on in. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what Properly does?
Sure. So BuyProperly is a platform for fractional investing in real estate. As most people know, investing or buying real estate in Toronto is impossible because even a one-bedroom costs like $500,000. That's a huge amount of down payment that you have to do. So what we do is provide fractional investing starting at $2,500. You basically own shares of a house and you can buy it completely online. So you go browse like you do on Amazon, choose your property, and then put in the amount you want to invest. That's it. And so now you're an owner, you'll get rental income, and you will get the exit price in 5 years.
Sounds like a dream. Why aren't more people doing this? This is crazy. So one of my favorite things I've learned about Properly is your sort of launching journey and how you started a wait list before going live. Can you tell us a little bit about that and why you went that route?
Sure. I guess it's probably as a founder, it was me trying to understand whether is it just me having this problem? Am I the only one not being able to buy? Or is it the whole of Toronto and the whole of Canada? And waitlist was one quick way of determining that it wasn't just my problem. Everyone was facing this, and it didn't matter how much they were earning because real estate was like a moving train that you could never catch. So the waitlist helped us validate that people actually wanted it. And that's why starting the waitlist helped us get in an idea of how many people wanted it, how badly they wanted it, and also let us interact with them over time to say, what do you think? Why do you want this? What's keeping you from investing in real estate if we were not there? And so on.
So you have this list of super fans, it sounds like. How do you engage with them? How do you nurture those relationships without having even launched the platform yet?
Well, we launched quickly enough because we started working in September and we were launched after 4 months. So it was not a long wait for the people in the wait list. But I think for the 4 months, what we had done, we had asked them what prevents them from investing in real estate. Actually, nobody gets up in the morning and says, you know what, let me go buy some properties today. I have some spare cash, let me go buy some, and I'll do that before my 9 a.m. meeting. Because you can't do that. And so with the people in the waitlist, we realized education or just knowledge was important. So we started doing webinars. We realized people were often intimidated by the process. So we made sure that the process was simple and easy to understand. We simplified the legal. So it helped us just go back and forth with them and solve the whole journey rather than just launch the product and then figure out what their journey would be like. So that's how we kept in touch with them and kept nurturing the relationship before we launched. We've actually followed the same model in the US. We launched this weekend in the US and we created a waitlist there as well. And when we launched finally this weekend, we actually had customers ready to buy stuff.
That's fantastic. Big congrats. Can we get a round of applause? That's an amazing, huge announcement.
Thank you.
Big congrats to you and the
Thank
team.
you.
Did you do anything differently this time launching in the US?
But we had learned a ton from our previous launch. But I think the one big thing was that we knew what customers need a lot better than we did last time. We also knew where they get stuck. So we made it even better, simpler, easier for the customers this time.
That's fantastic. So we have a lot of founders out tonight and a lot of early stage folks. For folks looking to take a similar journey or looking to build that list, what advice do you have for them?
I would say start early. So when we started the waitlist, all we had was the domain name and a very, very scrappy GoDaddy website. Like literally when you buy the domain, they pitch you, can we build the website for you for free for the next 30 days? And that's what we had. That's all we had. And we started the waitlist with that. But we had done our research. If somebody asked us, we could explain what we were trying to build. What is it that we were launching? We had nothing behind the scenes beyond the domain. So starting early gave us a lot of inputs, which went into even our first iteration.
That's amazing. So even in the first iteration, you're probably getting millions and millions of feedback from these super fans. How do you navigate what's worth listening to, what's worth kind of ignoring? Super fans always have opinions. How do you navigate that?
I feel like for any MVP or minimum viable product, Customers are forgiving about most things, but there's always one or two things they cannot forgive you for making errors. So like if you were a taxi hailing company, you cannot say that, oh, I couldn't find any taxi because of rain, or my taxi is delayed by 2 hours. That's not workable. But if you charge me a little extra, if you did some other goof ups, I can maybe forgive. So first is with all of the feedback, figuring out what is it that they are not going to forgive you for. So the MVP has to get that thing right. Everything else is okay. They will forgive. You ask for forgiveness later. That was, I think, one big thing. The second thing was, when you're a startup, you anyways don't have tons of resources. I mean, yeah, it's a great idea. We love the feedback. Put it on the roadmap. But I don't know, we don't have the money to build it. So it's an easy decision. Like, yeah, we don't have the money. We don't have 5 engineers. We have like half an engineer. So that goes on the list. Great idea, but not for now. So prioritization to see what is the best return on investment for the very limited resources you have is the other thing that you use. Otherwise, all of the feedback is great. They will have some value, but then those are the 2 criteria we used to say, what do we pick to build and incorporate?
Amazing. So kind of touching on your, with most startups, lack of resources, having to be scrappy. Do any examples of you being scrappy come to mind that you think our folks could learn from tonight?
I mean, yeah, we made do with a lot of things. So when we were holding events, we leveraged the ecosystem to the max to make sure that we hadn't spent. Actually, in the last 2 years, we've never spent any money on swag, for example. We always made do with scrappy ways of marketing, no Google ads, nothing. But I would say our most intuitive and most scrappy was probably our US launch, where we did a huge launch this weekend. And nobody flew down there. It was in Texas, Austin. We weren't flying, so there was nobody going there. We instead hired a University of Texas student, first year undergrad. We trained him for a week on how to pitch our company. Like a random person who's never met us, we trained him for a week to say, this is how you pitch our company to end customers. We paid him a $200 Amazon gift card to stand in front of a booth at a major event with 1,500 people to pitch our company to random people. But then our total spend for the whole thing was like $500. That's it. But we had a wait list and and some customers signed up.
$500 is the key to U.S. expansion. Y'all heard it here first. And an Amazon gift card. Amazing. So definitely a round of applause for that. So I want to wrap up, and I want to let you warm up soon. So you went from Amazon to founder to U.S. expansion in an incredibly short amount of time. If you could go back 18 months, 2 years, and give yourself advice, what advice would you give yourself?
Yeah, so life was very comfortable before I moved into the startup world. I had a job and a salary, and it was reasonably happy with everything, sort of. And then you get into the startup world, it was like you fell off the cliff. Because when I was at Amazon, I used to work at Alexa, and people were like writing to me, wanting to meet me, have coffee chats, call me at conferences. Suddenly, when you get into the startup world, you're like a nobody. You're from down at the bottom. Nobody wants to talk to you. Nobody cares about your visiting card. It's like, yeah, sure, BuyProperly, property.com.ca. I don't know who you are. We don't care. But one thing, if I were to go back and tell other founders, is actually there's a whole ecosystem of startup community that's extremely, extremely helpful and valuable. So if you have to make a jump like I did, don't fall off the cliff. Get into the ecosystem early, before you jump. Get to know the ecosystem, because the ecosystem is very, very helpful. Like, we've taken advice from everything from should we pay for HubSpot or not? How do we get a free resource? How do we get free this, free that? How do we hire? Recommendations, discounts, you name it, we've got it from the ecosystem. So that would be one big advice if I were to do it all over again, to get into the support system sooner and leverage it. Ask for help. Everybody has gone through it. So if somebody asks me, I'll be happy to give it back. And that's true for most founders. So just get in and ask for help.
And you're all starting it tonight by coming out. So thanks, everyone. You're already heeding this advice. Thanks so much, Khushboo. This was fantastic. I'll let you get in and warm up, and I'll hand it back over to Jason for the next fireside.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. You can just put it.